It's Halloween, and the fear of losing here haunts both Arsenal and Tottenham. They meet today, a year on from that 4-4 thriller.
But history makes this a bitter rivalry. Oh, we've seen Almunia after his goals!
Well, all that's probably too much to hope for again, but that game let Arsenal know that Spurs are a very different proposition these days. They no longer have an inferiority complex. They want more since they last beat Arsenal, who are unbeaten in 16 on their territory. Spurs have led in 8 of the last 13, but failed to finish the Gunners. Just a point on the night, it gave them a belief that they can indeed compete with the very best. And since the year that has passed, they have taken points. In fact, they've beaten Liverpool and Chelsea. They've taken points off Manchester United and Arsenal. But it's on the road still where they have trouble against the big four. 64 matches now since they beat either Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool or Chelsea. That's something that puts a smile on Alan Smith's face, but frustrates the former Tottenham manager Glenn Hoddle enormously. He was one of those who tried to change all of that. Why has it been so long, Glenn?
Well, I think it sums up the game. You mentioned Chelsea this year, and if we're over there, we're at the game, and I think it sums up Tottenham away from home. First half, Spurs deserved to be 2-0 up with a better team. Ledley King got injured second half and they fell apart. And mentally, I think it's a mental thing. When you go away from home, you have to have that belief in yourselves. I think Spurs are growing as a squad with that belief. I don't think they're the finished article by any means, and I think Harry knows that. But they are, you know, at the beginning of the season, I said I felt they had as strong a squad as Liverpool. I don't think they're quite as strong as Arsenal at the moment. But in any given day, that all can change, as we know. And today could be the day.
When you see it in print, Alan, it's often very different to actually hearing what a player has to say. But we're led to believe Robbie Keane said this week, we are as good as Arsenal. Do you think that's the case?
I think he said the bench was stronger. Yeah. I mean, I think for certain Tottenham's squad is stronger than it has been for a long time. So you can see where he's coming from that point of view. As for the strength, I mean, they've got covering players in every position, which you obviously need in a long Premier League season. I mean, as for the bench, it's difficult to tell. Arsenal have got players, Richard, that know how to finish in the top four. That's the difference at the moment. You refer to that away record. I mean, Liverpool had a similar time.
I mean, there are a number missing from both sides. I mean,
yeah, of course there are.
But if you look at what's available today, did Tottenham come here with confidence and think, well, if we need to, we can change it around and ask different questions?
Well, that's the thing. It's very important, isn't it, being able to change it? They've got international players. Pavlyuchenko hasn't quite taken off yet this season, but Cranchard's in there. He's got players that can make a difference off the bench, but likewise, Arsenal do too. It's all about where you finish at the end of the season, Richard, well, more than what's on that bench.
And what I think Arsene Wenger said yesterday was that, OK, all very well, but where have Spurs been the last 12 years whilst we've been competing in the Champions League? It's a difficult one to argue that, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, results speak louder than anything, and Spurs have got to go on and do it. We're still in October, and as well as Spurs have done, the best away record in the Premier League this season. I wasn't aware of that until I came in today, but that augurs well, but it's a long haul.
Teams, let's have a look. Arsenal, of course, very different to that which we saw the other night. Manuel Almunia back after 5 games. That's a big plus from their point of view. Across that back, Gallas and Vermaelen, 7 goals between them, those two so far, which is not obviously their primary concern on an afternoon such as this, but keep your eyes on them today. It's Song, Fabregas, Diaby in midfield, Bentner, Van Persie, Arshavin, the front three in effect. David Bentley makes his first Premier League start for Spurs since January. Gomez keeps goal. It's Chorluka, King, Bassong and Asua Koto across the back. Giannis, another of those returning to the side today, alongside Huddleston and Palacios. And up top it's Peter Crouch and Robbie Keane. Jermaine Defoe, of course, still suspended. Top of the table looks like that. Gunners sit third, played a game less than Spurs, who are fourth. Their ambition, we know, to take over from Arsenal or any one of the other big three in the top four come the end of the season. Andy Gray, what chance do you think they have of doing that?
Pretty good one, Richard. Just been listening to the lads talk about the improvement in Tottenham, and not only in their playing level but in their squad level. Much better and much stronger. Harry has a team playing with great confidence and great belief in what he's asking them to do, and you need all of that if you're going to have any illusions of breaking into the top four in this league. It's a pretty big ask, because the top four in this league every year just seem to get stronger and stronger.
Arsenal are very much changed from the other night. Spurs had players out who were playing in the Carling Cup. Is there an advantage to be had in so much as that Arsenal didn't ask of their team, their squad, midweek?
I don't believe so. I mean, some players like playing, Richard. Some players like to keep playing to keep the levels of performance up. I think at 31st of October, and a season where they played, in Arsenal's case, 9 league games and Tottenham's 10. I see that as an excuse, not a reason. If one or two players say they're a little tired this weekend, I don't buy that, and certainly not at this time in the season, no.
On the subject of Harry Redknapp, in the year since he's been in charge, Andy, only United, Chelsea, Liverpool and Arsenal have done better than he has. That's quite a turnaround in their fortunes at the Lane, isn't it?
It's fabulous, Richard, but I don't think any of us doubted it. I think what that shows in many ways is that I think Harry, when he was offered this job, looked at the squad and thought, wow, I've been offered a pretty good club with some fantastic footballers in it. You just have to look at this team today and see how many of the players that were there last year at this time are playing in his team today. A lot of them. So that shows you what a decent squad he had. Obviously, Harry's added his own little sprinkle of stardust, if you want, and brought his own players in over the last year. I'm sure he'll do a little bit more of that in January, when the January window opens again. But this is what he's done. He's had a great year. But great clubs don't have great years and disappear. Great clubs have great years and follow up with another one. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen next season or the season after that, but that will be Spurs' greatest test. Not can they match Arsenal for a year, Richard. Can they match them for the next 2 or 3 seasons? If they do that, then we might just start taking them a little bit more serious.
4-4 again today?
That would be lovely, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's a no then.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking earlier, the derby games of this magnitude, on Merseyside, obviously they have them in Manchester, up in the northeast. This one here captures the imagination of the capital, doesn't it, one way and another?
I think it does. I was thinking about this yesterday. I mean, obviously there are not a lot of lads out there that have come through the ranks in either of the sides. I think Ledley King's the only one out of the 22 starting, so you wonder about the players, do they feel it? But I think they do. I think the fans let them know about it in the week leading up to it, and when you walk out there as well, there is that special atmosphere, and that just transmits to the players.
Managers change, players change, fans don't change over the years, you know, especially when it comes to Tottenham and Arsenal. And that, I think, sort of gets through to players in the end, and managers, whoever they are, whether they're foreigners or whether they come from, you know, Scotland or wherever. But certainly when we played, that was before Smudger, but yeah, a lot of our lads were Spurs fans or Arsenal fans when they played for their club, so the rivalry was intense on the pitch. Perhaps it isn't as much now, it's got to be said, but I think the fans make it happen there. But today's an interesting game for me, because every time, you know, over the years whenever I've pitched the team against Arsenal or watched Arsenal with Tottenham, I think today Spurs can be really bold, bolder than they've been, and I think if they really looked at, with Ledley Kinney in the side today, I'm really pleased to see that. If they can squeeze the pitch up to Arsenal and nullify the space and drop the 2 strikers in and make it hard. Normally you've got a lad called Henry, normally you had Adebayor or you had Walcott playing, and you had pace. When you play against Arsenal, you were frightened of their pace. Today they're a great footballing side with lots of players in and around, but they want to, Van Persie leads the line, he wants to come towards the ball. And I think if Spurs are bold tactically and really squeeze the space, they've got in with a really good chance here today.
Would you counter that, Alan, by saying, as a true gunner, yes, but indeed, if they're going to hurt us, they've got to have the ball. Got to get the ball first, haven't they?
Yeah, which isn't always easy against Arsenal. Once they get it, they can keep it for fun and they can make the opposition work very hard indeed. It will be interesting to see how he sets his team out with the players we've seen there, whether he matches up Arsenal's three in the middle of the park, because that's been a strength of Arsenal's with Song holding, Diaby on the left, Fabregas on the right. They've built up a nice little understanding there, the three of them. They've played in most of the games together, just in front of the two centre-halves who have been ever-present as well. So does Harry go with three in the middle to avoid Arsenal dominating possession?
He tried to do that at Chelsea. He felt that their diamond was a strength, and he tried to play a diamond, and Placidas played left side of the diamond. It didn't work. It worked for the first half, but in the second half, over 90 minutes playing that way, it didn't work. But that's the reason why I think if they are bold, the gaps in between your back four and your midfield is where Arsenal really do isolate you, and they cause you all sorts of problems. I think today, if they were to squeeze that space and really be bold in the way that let the ball go over the top. If you're going to play anywhere, it's got to go over the top. And I don't think Arsenal want to play that way. And it would be bold to do it here, but it might work. It might work in their favour.
Almost ready, actually. You've really whetted the appetite. We're at the Emirates with Arsenal and Spurs, inevitably sold out. It was always going to be, wasn't it? Cesc Fabregas, the Arsenal skipper, takes charge of a team against Tottenham for the first time this afternoon. And they've been in terrific form here, Arsenal. We'll check that out when we come back. There's another landmark for Arsene Wenger today. He's approaching the 1,000 point mark since coming here 13 years ago. More on that shortly. It's North London this Saturday lunchtime, the first of the weekend's Barclays Premier League fixtures. It is the derby between Arsenal and Spurs. In for the Gunners today, Manuel Almunia, back after 5 games injured. And starting his first league game of the season for Spurs today, David Bentley, who of course scored an absolute screamer in the 4-4 here last season. Tottenham with a job on today for all sorts of reasons, not least because Arsenal this season have been perfect at home. Arsenal certainly know where the goal is. They've scored at least 3 in their last 5 Premier League games. Approaching another landmark today, you'll record Arsene Wenger turned 60 10 days back. On a professional note, he's approaching 1,000 Premier League points since coming here 13 years ago.
Arsene, you can win your 1,000th Premier League point for Arsenal today. Against Tottenham would perhaps be extra special. Are these games still highlights of your season?
Of course they are, but we are in a strong position in the league, and of course, apart from all the individual and maybe selfish achievements, the most important is for Arsenal to win the game today. We can get close to the top, and we want to take that advantage.
There's been so much talk about how close Tottenham are to you, whether that's historically or at the moment. Will today's game be a pretty good gauge of how close they actually are?
Well, I believe we have that question at every beginning of the season. The most important, nobody knows today. We believe in our strengths. They believe in their strengths, and I believe we have a good opportunity to show that we are the better team.
I know you can't hang too much on ifs, but if they do win today, does that mean they're ahead of you?
If doesn't exist, we live in a real world that is down to performance. We focus on how well we want to play today, and focus on giving our maximum and our best today, after you accept always the consequence of your performance.
How important is it to cut off any supply to Peter Crouch that might come from David Bentley?
We are a team who plays high up the pitch, and of course the further away we play from our goal, the better it is, because even if he wins one or two long balls in the middle of the park, it doesn't matter too much. If he wins them in our box, it's much more dangerous.
Good luck today. Thanks, Arsene.
Thank you very much.
Sounds like he's got a cold, doesn't it? Very well represented from both sides of the divide today, with Alan Smith and Glenn Hoddle alongside us today. When he came here, Glenn, I know we've discussed this a number of times down the years, it was Arsene who, wasn't it? But you'd had experience of him playing for 2 years in Monaco.
Yeah.
Having said all of that, has it surprised you what he's gone on to achieve at this club?
No, it hasn't. It really hasn't, because I could see working with him and where he'd come from. Every club that he'd been with, he had transformed the club. He was successful as a manager. I had a big say in him coming, I think. I was England manager. David Dean was constantly phoning me about Arsene.
Was he?
And I just said to him, go and get him. He will be successful. Spurs fans won't like me for saying it, but I've said it.
Put them right in.
I've said it many times before, so it's not the first time I've said it. But I was England manager at the time, and David was, was a good friend of mine. And he exactly, the board said, Arsene who? And I said, no. He opened my eyes to a lot of the training methods, and they were far way ahead of the English game. Arsene was at Monaco with what we were doing and how we prepared the team. And he was a deep thinker, a level-headed man, somebody that would always be calm around the dressing room, and knew how he wanted his teams to play. And it was really interesting to see. In saying that, I've got to try and get back with the Spurs fans
just a little bit, yeah.
And say
well to do that.
The only thing in the question, and he'll be the first to see it, obviously, is they haven't won a trophy for 5 years.
Haven't won a trophy since they came here.
And we forget about that. All the great players, I love watching them play. I think they're a fantastic football team. I think Spurs are a great side at the moment as well. They're getting closer to them. But over the years, Arsenal played a certain style which wasn't really the style that I like to watch. It was successful, but they're now playing in a way that is a pure, beautiful football, and that's why it's a challenge when you ever play against Arsenal Football Club.
I mean, he came here, didn't he, at the start, and you could say he had a helping hand in that he inherited the famous back four.
Yeah, but I think it was a culture shock for both Arsenal and him, wasn't it, the marriage?
I think so, at one stage, to
Mm.
maybe see how they live their life off the pitch, and he looked at the birth certificates as well. He thought, well, I mean, maybe we'll have to look at replacing these boys. But I think he took one look at them. Well, after a few games, he realised how well they worked, and that was a springboard for him, and he could add to that. But then, of course, he built his own defences, didn't he, with Sol Campbell and the like. I think he's still working on the present back four and how the team defends as a whole. If he gets that right, I mean, they will always score goals.
I think that's their Achilles heel. I think they do concede from set plays. You've always got a chance from set plays with Arsenal, but normally if they've got the ball, you can't play against them attackingly. But for me, I was fitter at 29 when I went to Monaco than I was in my peak at Tottenham with what we did, how we trained. And I think if you look at Tony Adams when he arrived, how fit he looked, how lean. I was England manager, so I was watching him a lot. And his definition, his body changed completely in his flexibility, in his diet, in all the things that he was doing. The penny dropped for Tony, and he went on and played for probably 4 years further than he would have done if Arsene, hadn't arrived.
Probably heard somebody's making the tea, I think. I don't know if you heard. Certainly
One
did
sugar.
here. Yeah, one sugar, thank you. Yeah. And we are at the Emirates with Arsenal and Spurs. And speaking of the problems that Arsenal's back four may have today, leading the Tottenham line is Peter Crouch. Now, he knows a thing or two about scoring goals, knows the importance.
Everyone seems to tell you, any game they want to win in the whole season is probably the Arsenal game. It's a big game, obviously, a local derby, and one the players are well aware of that we need to win.
Looking further ahead into the week, we have Champions League football Tuesday night from 7. Manchester United against CSKA is on Sky Sports 2. Chelsea play in Madrid on Sky Sports 3. As you can see, amongst the others playing on the night, Real. And all sorts going on there after their cup defeats last weekend. Wednesday night from 5, it's the Russian champions Rubin against Barcelona. Arsenal play Alkmaar, both those matches on Sky Sports 2. And it's Urea against Rangers on Sky Sports 3. Amongst the others playing Wednesday, Jose's Inter. It's the Emirates for us this Saturday lunchtime. Arsenal and Tottenham. Spurs with the best away record in the Premier League. Nobody has scored more goals at home this season than Arsenal. So what then the price for a hat-trick this afternoon? Well, you can get shortest odds on Van Persie at 33 to 1. The last gunner to do it, Alan Sunderland back in 1998. Terry Dyson in 1961 was the last man from Tottenham to do it. But Peter Crouch has scored 3 against Arsenal during his career, and that was when he was in Liverpool Red.
1, 2, 3.
I remember the first goal, ball in for the right-footed goal. The second one being a fantastic ball from Fabio Aurelio for a header. The third one was my favourite. I just managed to Cruyff inside Toure, and then a left foot past Lehmann.
Crouch gets the hat-trick, the first of his club career.
It was a great day.
Perfect hat-trick, wasn't it?
Yeah, left foot, right foot and a header. I was pleased with it, and you know, if you're suffering, you know, with confidence problems, it's always nice to whack the DVD on and see that one again. Obviously that's gone, and you know, I'd like to continue that, and if I can replicate something like that at the Emirates, it'd be amazing.
And if you cast your mind even further back, Spurs youth team against Arsenal youth team.
Yeah, I think you know, when you're a striker, you don't forget many goals, and that's certainly one I don't forget. I think it was at Highbury, diving header, the under-19 youth final. We played against Arsenal, and we won the second leg 1-0, and that was the goal, and I was, you know, very pleased to score that one. You know, that kind of game, obviously, you know, I'll take anything, but a hat-trick or a diving header last minute and win the game, yeah, it's, you know, stuff you dream of in big games like this. You always know that it's a special occasion, you know, everyone seems to tell you, you know, any game they want to win in the whole season is probably the Arsenal game. It's a big game, obviously, a local derby, and, you know, one the players are well aware of that we need to win.
Robbie Keane threw some quotes out this week where he said that actually the squad that Tottenham have got means that they're now level with Arsenal, and he feels this will be the year that you can pull ahead of them. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, I don't think we want to, you know, talk too much about, you know, how close we are, or, you know, if we're on the same level as them. You know, they've proved time after time that they're a top 4 team, and I think you know, if we can do our talking on the pitch and make sure we you know, we get as close as possible to them. I think we've got a squad that is very close to them, but you know, we've got to prove that on the pitch and make sure we get results and try and break into that top 4.
Alan Smith, of course, wore a number 9 jersey during his career. Do you think he is still trying to persuade people he's a good player? And if indeed that's the case, why, after everything he's done?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's played for Liverpool. Benitez thought he was, or he didn't think he was good enough to keep him.
England, where his record's terrific.
It is terrific, yeah. I mean, some people say he's a flat-track bully, only scores against the lesser teams for England, but I've seen him score against big teams in big games for his club, obviously that Arsenal hat-trick, but he's a great squad player as well, Richard, in that he's a good lad who can come on and change the system.
He wouldn't want to be a great squad player.
No, I know he wouldn't. And probably what works against as well, he's easy to leave out. He's a good lad. He won't kick up too much of a fuss. I mean, he doesn't want to be out the side for long periods of time, but he will sit on the bench for you for 1 or 2 games and then come in, because not all players are like that. And I just wonder, you know, even if Jermaine Defoe was available today because he's suspended, whether Peter Crouch would have played. I think Harry Redknapp might have been tempted to put him in there and just test those 2 centre-halves with that aerial threat of his.
The downside, would it be that you do tend to change a little? You go looking for him from places where you might not?
I think that's a problem sometimes for him. I think teams, when they go from deep areas and they try and find him, you know, certainly they don't build. If you've got Crouchy in your side and you're getting close, you know, 10 yards outside of the 18-yard box in wide areas, that's the time to go and hit him. Sometimes, you know, in the build-up, you're hitting him from too deep and it's easier to defend. But I think if Spurs can get themselves, they've got Bentley in today. He was a very good crosser of the ball. If he can get the space to put crosses in, I think Crouch could be a real problem to Arsenal today.
He'll be okay when he gets a bit of confidence, won't he?
Spurs incidentally have drawn Manchester United in the Carling Cup quarter-finals. And it's Manchester City against Arsenal. So. Right, let's talk about Tottenham's away form. As we mentioned once or twice already this afternoon, it is currently the best in the Premier League.
What a finish! Goodness me, what a devastating finish from Jermaine Defoe. Oh, fantastic!
We've come to the end of our road. Every road has got to end some way. Sick and tired of the stuff. Said enough is enough. We've come to the end of our road.
That, of course, is why Jermaine Defoe is not playing today. He's suspended as a result of that sending off at Portsmouth. On the road, played 5, lost just 1 at Chelsea. Now they sit 4th, of course, overall. Lost 3 at home to both Manchester United and Stoke now. Defoe is their top scorer, but of course missing this afternoon, so that honour today falls to Robbie Keane. 21 goals scored so far, 11 of them on the road. And goals conceded. The one, of course, against Stoke came in the last 10 minutes and proved to be very costly. It beat them at White Hart Lane. Here's Harry Redknapp with Andy Burton.
Harry, you bring with you the best Premier League away record in the league this season, and you've scored more goals away from home than you have at home. Do those stats suggest you can come here and win today?
Well, we'll certainly be having a go, Andy. I mean, we've picked a positive team, as we always do, and we'll come here and give it our best shot to really take the game to them when we can. I mean, they're a terrific side, make no mistakes. They play some great football, and it's a difficult place to come and play. But 2 teams in form, 2 good teams, it's got to make it a great game.
In the year you've had at Tottenham, only Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool have got more points than you. This season you've made Tottenham's best ever start to a Premier League season. What's working for you right now here?
Good players, Andy, really performing to their ability. That's all you can do as a manager, get the best out of the players, and we've got some good players, and brought 3 or 4 in that have all done great as well. So it's about good players, and that's what we've got now.
Is that Bentley-Crouch combination key today? If you can get the right balls in and if he does the right things with them?
Yeah, I think so. I think Peter's very important to us today. You know, he's difficult to play against, and I think he can cause them problems if we get the right service up to him. You know, we're not going to be lumping it from every, that's not how we play, but when it is on to him with a good quality ball, we're going to look to get up to play them type of balls when we can.
I know you love good football. I know you love big games and passionate games. You're excited about this?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Obviously, these are the games that you love and enjoy. You know, coming to the Emirates, fantastic stadium, local derby, 2 terrific football clubs. So it's got to make it a smashing game.
Let's hope so, Harry. Good luck.
Thank you.
Just to confirm that Carling Cup draw, both North London clubs on the road. It's Blackburn against Chelsea, Manchester City meet Arsenal, Manchester United against Tottenham, and the one at the bottom there, they probably have settled for that, both Pompey and Villa. It's Portsmouth against Aston Villa. Why, in your opinion, Alan, will Arsenal win this today?
I think they've got the big players are in form. 2 centre-halves are playing well. Robin van Persie is playing well, leading the line. And I think in Andre Arshavin, his first North London derby, I think he can be the little genius that will create something. I think they've got enough.
And do you believe that Tottenham can get anything out of this today?
I think I'd have been far more optimistic about it with Defoe playing in the side and Lennon with the pace. I think Defoe showed in them away goals how he's a threat away from home. And if this fixture was 3 weeks ago, I would have fancied Spurs more, but they've just hit a little bit of poor form and missing key players. So it's going to be a tough afternoon for them.
The top 2 North London's best 2 are primed and ready to go.
tell her something. Look, maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I love London town, but London's foul. London's a merry-go-round, a cycle of life full of ups and downs. Cause up till now, we ain't never won with the odds against us. The million to one, see the winter's messy, but it gets silly in the sun. No fights to draw the 9 million is done. How can I win? How can I win? How can I win? How can I win?
Arsenal unbeaten in 19 on their territory. Unbeaten in the last 16. Spurs have led in 8 of the last 13 and failed to finish them off. It's 16 years, 198 months if you like, 6,017 days since Spurs last beat Arsenal. That's a long, long time. Our match commentators Andy Gray and Rob Hawthorne.
And Manuel Almunia is back as Arsenal's number one. After leaving the issue an open question overnight, Arsene Wenger restores him following a 10-game absence. The back four is the same as for the draw at West Ham, with a 9-goal central defensive partnership of Gallas and Vermaelen, though neither fullback has scored this season. The only other outfield player in this team yet to score this season is Alex Song, who forms part of the midfield trio. Nicholas Bentner retains his place after scoring in Wednesday's Carling Cup win over Liverpool. He replaces Emmanuel Eboué in the only change to the team at Upton Park apart from the goalkeeper. Eboué and Manoni are on the bench along with Samir Nasri, who's yet to play in the league this season.
Well, it's becoming a very, very familiar Arsenal lineup, this. Formation-wise, I'm talking about. Since Adebayor's departure, he's settled in this very fluid front three. Bentner in today, there's no doubt Eboué would work as hard, probably a lot harder than Bentner, but would he be much of a goal threat? I don't think so. Bentner's in because he does pose a goal threat from this wide area. Shavin, we know, equally from the left, and as Alan Smith is saying, Van Persie really took a while to get started this season, but really in top form at the moment. It's a very talented and mobile midfield trio there as well. Fabregas will get forward, so will Diaby. Don't be surprised if he gets forward as well. Song, the one who will probably sit and be more disciplined of all of them. Gallas and Vermaelen, they are playing well, but a big test today in how they cope with Peter Crouch's aerial ability.
Well, last year the doubts were about the Tottenham goalkeeping position, but Aurelio Gomez is now firmly established. The back four shows one change from the Stoke defeat, with Ledley King back from illness to take over from Jonathan Woodgate, who went off injured in that match. David Bentley's first league start of the year is against his old club, and in a fixture that he lit up so brilliantly last year. Jermaine Jenas too has a good recent record in this game. It's Peter Crouch's first senior appearance in a North London derby, though he's played in big neighbourly scraps elsewhere in the country. And is this stronger than the Arsenal bench? Well, you decide. Youth team goalkeeper David Button, recalled from Crewe, is there because Carlo Cudicini's injured, but he's alongside 5 full internationals and Michael Dawson, who's been in the England squad.
Well, better, I don't know. More experienced, yes. I would have to concede that. Now, Harry tells us that this is a lineup he's starting with. When you came up and told me that, I was a little surprised. Sat in the studio looking at this, I would have thought certainly Bentley will play further up, and if I looked at those three in midfield, I would have guessed, just sitting here, that he would play 3 narrow as well and ask Robbie Keane to work the left side if he can. There may be times when Robbie goes back there and plays there and Palacios tucks in one, but as I've said, if Harry says he's going to start with Palacios left, I'll be a little surprised. It's a little lopsided in my opinion doing that, so keep your eye on the Tottenham lineup as the game progresses.
Well, what a difference a year makes. Even after that 4-4 draw here a year ago, Tottenham were still bottom of the table and some 14 points behind Arsenal, who were third. But today they come into the derby level on points. But all this talk about how the gap is closing, well, talk is cheap, isn't it? It's what happens on the pitch that matters.
Well, it is, and you know, and it's the same with stats. I mean, Robbie Keane, they're part of a Tottenham side who were told all day has the best away record in the Premier League. Yes, that is a fact. Look a little closer. The 3 games have won away from home have been against the bottom 3. You know, you would expect that. If you're a good side, you would be going to those grounds expecting to win. So, you know, facts are what they are. The one big test they've had away from home, They got a thumping at Chelsea. So this is a different kettle of fish. This is a game up against the Chelseas of this world. And I think we'll learn a little bit more, Rob, about Tottenham and their away record and how good they're doing after this game.
Because the other fact that stands out amidst Arsenal's home record is the number of goals that they've been scoring here. And that run started at the back end of last season and has continued into this. Ledley King, who's been through a few of these occasions before, one of those hoping that the gap has closed. Rather like the battle in Manchester, where Mark Hughes now feels he has a squad to close the gap. Maybe Harry Redknapp can start to feel likewise with the way that he's strengthened Spurs since coming in a year ago. In some instances, bringing back players who left just prior to his appointment. Certainly a lot rides on today, more than mere bragging rights.
It's the Emirates this Saturday lunchtime with the North London derby. Arsenal against Spurs in high definition on HD1, channel 408.
Does tower over him, but he's got a decent spring on him, the defender.
Well, that's the kind of ball the lads in the studio were talking about, that they have to really resist. I mean, that travels 70 yards, and even if Peter Crouch wins the header, there is no one within 25 yards of him, because Robbie Keane's playing in this left-hand side.
Nice work from Fabregas. Here's Diaby. Huddleston helping out Bentley. But well won back by Diaby for Arshavin. Van Persie to his left, Diaby to his right. It's King who blocks it. It's back to Clichy here. Arshavin. King committed himself and the corner's conceded.
Well, I have to say, they have started Arsenal like a side who are very, very high in confidence, like a side who have got a 100% record here.
And they found Arshavin from the corner. And Crouch had to switch on pretty sharply then to deal with that corner routine. Worry for Arsenal is that Arshavin got hurt.
Yeah, it's very unlucky, very quick thinking from Cesc Fabregas here. The full marks to Peter Crouch. Sees the danger very early, and well, it's a decent tackle from the big man.
It's Asuekoto. Headed back by Genus. Playing to the crowd. It's Fabregas. Now Vermaelen, who was caught by Bentley and having got away with a handball earlier, he may not get away with this one.
Well, there you go. You know, David Bentley probably should have been receiving his second yellow card within 7-8 minutes of this match. He's late. It's a very poor tackle. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind about that. And there are plenty of referees around. Deliberate handball, yellow card would have given him it, and David Bentley would be having an early walk down that tunnel if he had a less lenient referee than Mark Clattenburg. First piece of luck for Tottenham today.
Well, he's been very lucky to get
I can't believe he's not at it. That's amazing. That was a really, really nasty tackle from David Bentley.
Well, Clattenburg has only shown one red card this season. It was to Grella of Blackburn Rovers. But that's 2 offences now in the opening 8 minutes from David Bentley, and neither has been punished with a card.
Well, both bookable in my opinion.
Well, the relief for Arsenal is that Vermaelen is back on his feet and seemingly unharmed. But after the hot water he's already been in this season, the last thing David Bentley needs here today is to pick up an unnecessary red card. Vermaelen is now back on the field. Here's Asuekoto. Vermaelen going in for the challenge, but Crouch won it, and Bentley's onto that and trying with his other foot what he did here last year.
Well, the left foot not quite as good as the right. I guess that's the what comes out of this, but that's good. That's good support. Much better to the ball going to Crouch. They at least had 3 other players running off Peter Crouch there when he was going up to win a header.
Well, he'll do well to eclipse that magnificent effort here last season. David Bentley. It's been the high point of a career with his boyhood team that has hardly flourished. Here's a Suekoto. Huddleston, now Genus. This is Palacios. Huddleston. Gallas away. Sanya. Cleared by Bassong. Well, Huddleston felt the boot of Fabregas was high then, but Mark Clattenburg just tells him to get up. Palacios, Genus. Rode the challenge of Fabregas well. Got away from Song too, but not from Gallas. With a touch on to Van Persie. Bentner again. Van Persie. Arshavin, offside Bentner.
Yeah, he'd run offside earlier. Nicholas Bentner was a little bit slow in coming back onto an onside position. Just trotting over to the left. Arshavin's down below us on the right. It's the thing about the system he has. They're not really bothered what side of the pitch they play on, these guys. They're comfortable anywhere on it.
Song stretching with Crouch. Palacios to Genus. Now Chorluka. There's Huddleston, that was unintentional. Song. Fabregas. Here's Diaby. Now Bentner. Sanya.
No, he's never getting that. They're working really hard, Tottenham, and they're really well disciplined at the moment defensively. And they've got their back 4 in, tucking Robbie Keane back down the left-hand side, putting a 5 across midfield. So when they get the ball, Arsenal, finding space is really, really difficult.
There's a setback, the defeat by Stoke, but they played well in the game, Spurs. But it is a concern defensively that in the league this season they've had just the 1 clean sheet in the victory over Burnley. Here's Thomas Vermaelen. Van Persie. Bender. Diaby. It's Fabregas to Song. This is Gallas attempting the challenge from Crouch, and Genus coming in and helping out. Well in by Clichy. It was good anticipation that by the fullback. It's a decent run too. Van Persie calling for it. He looked instead for Arshavin, and it's reached him.
No, I didn't hit it cleanly. A little bit like Bentner's. It's a little lazy ball across to David Bentley, and he really did pounce on it. Just wondered if he'd run at him and really take him on. Couldn't really find Van Persie.
There's a Suekoto. Genus. The ball laid over to Keane, who looks first time for Crouch. Bender. Now Fabregas. Here's Sanya to Arshavin. Away by Suekoto. Genus. Crouch. This is Bentley. Bassong. Crouch with a layoff. Genus closest to him. Now Keane. Well, just when they were building some momentum, Spurs, Song wins it back for Arsenal. And Asuakoto brushes Fabregas aside.
Well, that's what you'd regard as a third bookable offence. You know, kicking the ball away. Referee's whistle goes. You kick the ball away. It's a bookable offence. Well, I've seen a couple of games with Mark Clattenburg over the years when I've been rather confused about. I remember a Merseyside derby where some very strange. Fabregas believes that he scored because he hits it beautifully there. Look at the way the goalkeeper plunges to his left. Look at behind the goal. They're up. They think the team has scored. The glorious save.
Well, it really is remarkable, the transformation in this man. He was the man they were worried about a year ago. And in the 4-4 draw here, there weren't too many signs that Harry Redknapp's fears would be allayed. But a year on, new goalkeeping coach behind him, of course, and Aurelio Gomez is now, no question about it, established as the first choice, even when they've got a reliable backup like Paolo Cudicini.
Well, you know, a couple of chances have been self-inflicted by Tottenham. That's twice now they've looked for a lazy ball to David Bentley, square, around about the halfway line. And Gael Clichy, and he's pounced upon them twice.
Good work from King. Now Genus. King has carried on the charge to join Keane and Crouch in the opposing area.
Good delivery. One touch out the feet and deliver.
Bentley's the man who has to. And Almunia has lost it, but no one close enough there to profit from that mishandling. Here's Bender.
Well, Ledley King had kept his run going. Arsenal have just missed a little trick there. Yes, Ledley King just getting back now. They're involved in the play. He carried on his run.
Flag up there against Crouch. And the two gaps just starting to appear.
It's just settling, I think, Tottenham. You know, it was a really good start from Arsenal, first 10 minutes of the match. Plenty of possession.
He knew he was offside then, Van Persie.
And they've just settled into it now.
"19 league games. Arsenal have gone unbeaten against Spurs, the longest unbeaten run either side has enjoyed in the history of this fixture.
You know, a lot of talk about when Spurs will beat Arsenal, maybe rightly so. But I think here today, in the form that you're playing against Arsenal, and blowing everyone away on this ground at the moment, you know, I think if you'd have given Harry a point before this game started, he might just have taken that.
Well, they got a point out of both games last year, the 4-4 here, goalless at White Hart Lane back in February. But we're a week short of the 10th anniversary of when Tottenham last beat Arsenal in a league match. It was at White Hart Lane. Stefan Everson and Tim Sherwood scoring for a George Graham managed Tottenham against Arsenal, who had Martin Keown and Freddie Ljungberg sent off.
Well, that's the one that Choluka just goes a little early. David Bentley had a decent position wide of him on the right. Might well have looked for him, but was a little too anxious to knock it to Peter Crouch.
It's Gallas. Now Basson. Here's Choluka. Suakoto. It's King. It's Van Persie. Tried to switch it to Sanya, but Suakoto in the way. Sanya again. Now Fabregas. Forcing Bentner out wide, and Chorluka going there with him. There's Crouch. Diaby. This is Fabregas.
Nearly. That's pretty much been Arsenal's 25 minutes at the moment, nearly in the last third. Nearly found a pass, nearly found a shot. And in Fabregas' case, nearly found a goal.
Well, in past seasons, it's been a running problem for Arsenal, the fact they've had so much play and not had the end product. It hasn't been the case this year. They've scored in all of the games in which they've played. They're the top scorers in the Premier League. It's Palacios. Crouch with a header, which gives Keane a retrieval job, but Sanya is first to it and finds Andre Arshavin. Now Fabregas. Bentner made the run inside, and Palacios had plugged that hole. There's Sanya. Arshavin.
That was a poor ball from Arshavin. Difficult one for Van Persie to get hold of.
Here's Huddleston. Now Basson. Ledley King. Genus. On by Huddleston. Tough for him there against Keane. That's Song. Tackle by Huddleston deemed fair. And here's Genus. Crossover run by Bentley with Crouch gone to the other side. Here's Crouch. Clichy just keeping him at bay. Here's Huddleston. For Keane with the ball in. Action to come from the SPL. It's Dundee United against Rangers tomorrow from 12:30. That game is on Sky Sports 3 and HD3. And Premier League action from St Andrews. It's Birmingham City against Manchester City. Sky Sports 1 and HD1. That's from 3:30 tomorrow. Missed the news from earlier. Arsenal will go to Manchester City in the quarterfinals of the Carling Cup. Spurs will be going to Manchester United.
Just a little bit of frustration around the ground now. As I've said, I think Tottenham have defended pretty well for the majority of this 28 minutes. I can't remember a time when they've got in behind, got round the back of the back four. But remember that any of the centre-backs for Tottenham chasing back towards their own goal. First time probably now as I speak.
And it's Sanya who has to provide the cross, but Ledley King is behind it.
Well, that's about the first time. Thought Sanya might have gone on a bit before he delivered.
Given away by Suakoto to Fabregas, and it's Van Persie. And the angle was difficult, but you might have expected him to do better.
Well, his desire to use his left foot, I think, has cost him here. And this is a really poor clearance from Suakoto. And he plays Van Persie on side. Could have laid it to Bentner. But just watch the way he tries to run round it there, and just really awkward for a player of his quality.
Crouch winning the header against Song, but Clichy behind, tidying up. Choluka winning the header. Nice work from Bentley. Basson. Bentley. Choluka. Spurs looking to capitalise on the frustrations of the Arsenal crowd here, who haven't seen the possession turned into any reward. Spurs are just growing in confidence. Diaby giving away the free kick. Both King and Basson going forward for this.
Well, we've got Choluka, they could shift it wide to better angle, but it looks like Bentley's going to take it. It's a little straight, this one.
Looking for Crouch. Diaby's up there. Huddleston hits it, but the charge down is by Cesc Fabregas. Here's Vermaelen. Gallas. Song. Van Persie to Sagna. It's cleared by Ledley King.
Again, he could put that move into the nearly one. Get to a good play area of the pitch again, but can't find that final pass.
Diaby. Fabregas. That's Bentner picking out Diaby. Arshavin. Sagna. Arshavin. Bentner seems to have a problem at the moment. Just a little signal to the bench. Laid it off to Alex Sol. Sagna. Fabregas. Arshavin. Fabregas, the onside player. And he's retrieved it well from Keane here, Fabregas. Asuakoto keeping him at bay. It's Arshavin who hits it. But no trouble there for Gomez from the shot.
That was typical of the game. Lots of possession. He's got trouble. It looks like the groin's gone. Yeah, up in that groin area. So the decision is who? Would it be Emmanuel Eboué, who has been playing in the wide area? Or would he take a chance with Nasri or an Aaron Ramsey?
Interesting dilemma, as you say. Eboué is the one who has been playing there recently, but Nasri only just finding his way back to fitness.
That's Eduardo who's going to get warmed up. Yeah, that was typical of the game. Lots of possession there from Arsenal in that last piece of play. Across the front of the 18-yard box, 20-25 yards from goal, and Tottenham lined up there en masse and making life really difficult for Arsenal.
Well, Arsenal effectively playing a man light at the moment. Bender on the pitch, but really out of the game as Arshavin's cross is dealt with by Basson. Asuakoto had left that to Genius and then suddenly had to switch back on very quickly. And that bit of lax play could be costly. Song looking for a way through. The referee keeps his hands behind his back for Huddleston's challenge. Here's Gallas. Now Choluka. As play goes on, Arsenal unable to make this change that they need to, with Bentner effectively a passenger at the moment. Here's Palacios. Offside flag was up, but again play carries on. Here's Sagna. Arshavin. Genius. Now Keane. Palacios. Here's Genius. Luka's made the run and he's been picked up brilliantly by Huddleston. Crouches in the middle, and Vermaelen got across in front of him.
That's great defending. Phil Marcy, Luka, he knows he's a passenger who stood in front of him, and look at this. Bentner can't get back. Luka says, I'm going to make a run. It's touch and go whether he's offside. Not the worst ball. But Vermaelen did his job.
Well, Eduardo is now ready to come on. I'm not sure whether Arsene Wenger's imploring his players to put the ball out so they can make that change.
He is.
But he's wound up at the moment. It's as though he's been overruled by his own players. Here's Diaby. Now Arshavin. And he's found the gap.
Corner. Wouldn't that have been ironic, wouldn't it? The manager desperate, telling him to kick it out. The players decide, no, we're not going to play it out. Lovely run there, and what a good block from veteran Luka. Right back, sees his mate's got a problem. Wonderful covering play from the full-back.
Well, didn't Nicholas Bentner once come on in a derby and score from a corner with his first touch? Maybe Eduardo can do the same.
I'm not so sure Eduardo will leap that high and head it in, mind you.
Maybe it'll need a knockdown to him. It's Van Persie, and it doesn't reach Eduardo. Gomez sees to that.
The first corner against that Arsenal have to face will be interesting, because Bentner was attached to Peter Crouch. I'm pretty sure they've not said to Eduardo, don't forget to pick up Crouch.
Yes, I think there might be a reshuffle of responsibilities there.
Yeah.
Here's King. Crouch in front of Sanya there. This is Song. Vermaelen. They've given away to Luka. Now Huddleston. He's stretching to find Basson. Back by Ledley King. Crouch got the touch. Here's Keane. Now Bentley. Genius. Through to Keane, who peeled away.
Oh, it was a good idea, and it was an opportunity. I think William Gallas was pretty much playing everyone on side.
Here's King. King coming back from an offside position. Sanya. Suakoto winning his duel with Eduardo. Genius in the middle along with Robbie Keane. Passes them both by, but Bentley's on the other side. Past Clichy. Genius just looking to challenge Almunia, but he's handling safe there.
Yeah, a little 41, 5 yards from goal. And you expect your goalkeeper just earns that couple of yards, but you can see it's a floaty one there. It's got no pace on it. It's saying to the goalkeeper, come and get me.
Here's Eduardo. Fabregas. Sanya with the ball in. Van Persie took a swipe at it.
Well, that's one of those occasions when you've got a little bit more time than you do realise. You think when you're that close to goal you have no time, but he might just have had a yard or two to take control of that.
A few half chances so far in the game. There's Genius.
Well, 40 minutes gone. Not a huge amount of attempts. Can't think of too many that have been on target. Only 3 yet. 2 of them quite tentative, and one produced a great save from Aurelio Gomez. Keep the teams level. And that's been a disappointing thing in a game that I think everyone expected to be very open. Hasn't been really. Tottenham have been happy to contain and frustrate, which is important when you come up to play Arsenal at the Emirates.
Both sides are level on points, although Arsenal do have a game in hand on Spurs.
I think Harry would be quite happy to go into the last 15 minutes of this game with the score still the same.
Clichy was part of Arsenal's last title-winning team back in 2004, and in direct competition today with another man who played that season for Arsenal, David Bentley. He had 1 Premier League appearance for Arsenal, and it was in that season when they won the title.
Now penalised. Palacios just defending off Fabregas.
Here's Diaby. Tried to slide it through to Eduardo. And Spurs allowed to play on with Huddleston. And a mile and away. Here's Sanya. Now Fabregas. And away goes Eduardo. Spurs barely had time to draw breath and take in the implications of that Van Persie goal when Fabregas was striking a second past them. And the earlier good work of Gomez in keeping out Fabregas's previous effort now undone.
Do you know the things like this that you just see? It's why after, what, 35 years in this game as a player and watching it and commentating on it, you still love it, because it never fails to surprise you. Did you expect that?
Certainly not.
No.
But Harry Redknapp's not loving it too much at the moment.
No, he's not neutral. And can you believe that from 11 seconds from kicking off, we're 2-0 down? Amazing.
Well, the mood here, which had been anxious and a little frustrated, is now one of relief, but they've let 2-0 lead slip against Spurs before.
No. Didn't they let one slip last week?
They did.
In the London derby.
And that was the second time they'd let a 2-goal lead slip in a match since that derby here last year. They did so at Villa on Boxing Day.
Well, you don't often see that in football. A gap of only 49 seconds from the ball hitting the back of the net for the first goal to the ball hitting the back of the net for the second.
Fabregas with a corner, and Gomez reaches and gets there. Any blame attached to the goalkeeper for the Van Persie goal?
No, I think it's a horribly difficult one for a goalkeeper. The hardest area for a goalkeeper to save that, if you go with your hands, Rob, is right at your feet. You know, a lot of goalkeepers have always used their feet. Pat Jennings, an old Tottenham goalkeeper, was a great exponent of saving the ball that was close to his body with his feet. And I think it's a real difficult one to get down to. There was good pace on it. He was so close in. I think you'd be very, very hard pushed to blame the goalkeeper.
And suddenly now his goal has come under siege. Son Assou-Ekotto on this occasion relieving some of that pressure.
Well, Harry has it all to do again. I think what we might find from Harry, there's a change at half-time. He's going to have to get Keane up, right in contact with him. When I say change, maybe not personnel. Cranshaw, we know, is on the bench. He would be an obvious one you'd think about. But certainly he might have to tinker with his midfield. Genius might have to play left side if he keeps this 11 on the field after half-time, but you'll have to change either his system or his personnel at half-time, Harry Redknapp. You feel almost certain of that.
Song. Won back by Suakota. Now Bentley. Song again. Here's Fabregas. Well, half-time and Arsenal are on their way to reasserting their superiority in North London. 2 goals in the blink of an eye. Cesc Fabregas scoring 11 seconds from kick-off after Spurs had picked the ball out of the net from Robin van Persie's goal, his 5th in as many games. But Arsenal have been vulnerable with 2-0 leads before. They were last week. So much promise still in the second half, but it's Arsenal 2, Tottenham 0.
Funny that, Rob. Alan Smith just made the very same point. 2-0 Arsenal can be vulnerable. Spurs had done a job on them, which had pleased Glenn Hoddle for 40 minutes or so. Then came Van Persie. Another day when the Big Four all play. Football first tonight. Game of the day starts at 8:25 on Sky Sports 1. And it's to match choice via the red button at 10:15. Alan, are you happy or nervous?
No, Arsenal will not continue to concede 2-goal advantages. Hadn't been in it for large periods, hadn't played the football that they can. But I just thought it was a little snapshot, Richard, of what it takes to, do well in this league. It's concentration, and Arsenal absolutely leapt on the lack of concentration. And
I've done for 42 minutes, just goes out the window. And Ledley can't get across there in front. It's good forward play. He's got across the front of Ledley King.
Yeah.
But where's your left-sided centre-half should be shutting the front door.
Andy wasn't critical of the keeper?
I wouldn't be. I know you were, but he was quite a close in and it was a good contact. And I really wouldn't be. Down there, it's a difficult one. I mean, funnily enough, we were saying, weren't we, Glenn, the only moments Arsenal had, the good moments, were because Tottenham had gifted them the ball and they just couldn't get into
third gear. Which is exactly what happened, of course, from the kick-off. 11 seconds after they'd scored, Arsenal did it again. Now, if that was poor, what about...
Great finish. But if those two guys just stay on their feet, that goal's never scored in a million years. And it's a dreadful, dreadful
so sloppy,
way.
Isn't it? You'd expect Ledley to just stay side on there and use his pace.
Are we giving enough credit to Fabregas for that?
Invaluable for midfield.
Lovely
play.
the way his body shape shows the keeper on going that side, and then he just plays in there.
What do you do in the Tottenham dressing room? Are you still steaming because of what's happened, or can you get your head straight, clear, and say, OK, let's go again?
That's when the manager has to decide what half time. I mean, apart from that last 2 minutes, he goes in there at 0-0, Harry, and he's saying, well done, lads, just exactly what we ordered. The same thing happened at Chelsea. They played extremely well, had better chances at Chelsea over at the Bridge. Could have been 2 up. They conceded just before half-time, if you remember, on the back post, I think, and they fell apart second half. And this is what they've got to improve on. They've got to be mentally stronger because they played very well first half. They nullified Arsenal. Arsenal didn't get round the back of them easily. Everything they give them on a plate. Tottenham gave them 2 other chances.
Presumably Harry Redknapp's telling his team Arsenal are at 2-0, can be punished. Will Arsene Wenger be making the very same point? Careful now.
Yeah, I think he will. I mean, he'll want to go on and get the third, and then he'll feel safe. I mean, from Tottenham's point of view, it's almost about belief, isn't it? They've gone out there and they've given it the best shot. They haven't scored, and then they've been caught. And in the dressing room now, they'll be thinking, are we good enough to compete with this Arsenal side? Are we really good enough? Whether Harry changes the formation, pushes Robbie Keane up there with...
I think Cranchar will come on. Cranchar will come on. He can open up things, but... my word, they'll be regretting those 2 minutes.
4-2 it was a year ago to Arsenal, and Spurs still got a point out of it. So there's hope yet. And as we've said, with Arsenal, 2-0 is rarely enough. Not never, rarely enough. There's plenty left in it. But a real variety of Spanish football coming later. First up, it's the second half of Real Madrid against Getafe at 5:15 on Sky Sports 3. And Real coming off the back of that shocking cup defeat. Osasuna meet Barcelona from 7. Barca 3 points clear at the moment at the top of La Liga. Again, that's on Sky Sports 3 and available in high definition on HD3. And to round it all off, it's Athletic Bilbao against Atletico Madrid at 9 on the same channel. Well, for 40 minutes, Spurs had done a job on Arsenal. Robin van Persie got the opener. And 11 seconds of playing time later, Cesc Fabregas gave Arsenal a 2-0 lead. Now, how many times have we said it? The next goal is very important, isn't it?
It is. We saw it at Upton Park, didn't we, last Sunday when West Ham got that one back. And that will be in the Arsenal defenders' minds if they do concede. So I think Arsene Wenger will just urging them to be positive, forget what the scoreline is, just try and get the third goal.
And will Tottenham remember what they did here a year ago?
Yeah, I think
take inspiration from coming back then?
of course they can take inspiration on that. The sad thing for them is they shouldn't be in this position. They played well enough to be 0-0, and they're not. They're 2-0 down. Now they've got to show some character, some true character. And whether he'll change it from half-time, Harry, I'm sure. I think the lad Crouch, if he needs goals, he'll open people up. He's good from set plays. I think he's a must to come on at some stage. Second half. Keane's got to get. He didn't do bad at getting close with Crouch. He's played that wide berth a little bit, and he's got himself in there on numerous occasions. Actually, he's played very cute in the system that Harry's wanted to play. Whether now they go 4-4-2, let's stick Keane right up there with Crouchy, who knows? But they've got it all to do, Tottenham, and it's really their mental strength now and their character to show. Well, that's happened to us. How are we going to respond?
Best form of defence, Alan, for Arsenal. Keep going.
I think so. They aren't the type of team that will like to sit back on it.
Said to 1,000, it all looks very good right now around the Emirates as Arsenal take second and go to within 2 points of the leaders. Tottenham stay fourth. If results elsewhere today go against them, they could finish the weekend as low as 8th. Tomorrow, live from the Scottish Premier League, it's Dundee United and Rangers from 12:30 on Sky Sports 3 and in high definition on HD3. Super Sunday, we're with Birmingham and Manchester City from 3:30 on Sky Sports 1 and HD1. Alan Smith and Glenn Hoddle are with us. Their reaction when we come back. What a day for Arsene Wenger. A hard-earned little bit of frustration along the way and a dance to go with it. 3 more points as well. Man of the match was Robin van Persie. Here he is with Andy Burton.
Robin, a sweet victory all the time whenever you beat Tottenham, but did they hand it to you a little bit today?
I don't think so. I think that we played with the right attitude, good spirit, and I was quite tight and tough first half hour because we both went for it. And from the moment we scored our first goal, they died basically, and straight after Cesc had a world goal, fantastic goal.
And what did you think when he was doing that? Were you amazed that he was allowed to run through like that? Was it his brilliance or their mistakes?
His brilliance, of course. He straight from the kickoff. I think Palacios lost the ball. He went through Palacios and another guy, and then through Ledley King. So if you do that, you need a lot of pace and a lot of technique, and that's what he did. So good, good one, very good one.
Just a final question: what does this add to the debate about how close Tottenham are to Arsenal?
I'm not gonna comment on that.
Probably safe. You're the Barclays man of the match. Well done, Robin. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
More importantly, what does this say about Arsenal's title challenge?
Well, they've got a chance, Richard. They have got a chance. I mean, we're still in October. We'll know a lot more come the turn of the year. If they get 1 or 2 key injuries, I mean, Robin van Persie's so important to them, the way he's playing, leading that line. But full of goals and full of quality. Whether defensively, they've got the now fight of its second half after they really switched off for that crazy spell. Lost the concentration and the game was over.
First one came after 41 minutes, 11 seconds of playing time later. Fabregas made it.
If you're a defender and you dive in when someone's got possession running at you, you're going to get beat. But let's look at it from the positive side. Look, he's picked it up, he's livelier, he's gone to ground, Ledley's gone to ground, he weren't at it today, Ledley. It's the poorest I've seen him play for a while. And he's finished it superbly well. And talk about self-infliction. Spurs for 42 minutes were fine. They looked
Same
really
again on the 3rd to some degree, wasn't it? As Mark Clattenburg clearly said play on, the linesman had flagged, but it was eventually Arsenal who woke up to that. Well, I mean, got their reward.
Used to play advantage like that. The fact was that a lot of it was so close to the linesman's reaction of the flagging. That's why Spurs, 3 players of Tottenham switched off. And it was a shame that they were so close to it. They saw it and they just reacted.
What's the first thing you learn when you grow up as a player?
Play to the whistle.
Play to the whistle. Play to the whistle, Richard. And it's a big lesson for them, but a harsh one, because second half Spurs had no fight about them. They really were poor in the sense of trying to get back into the game against a team that, if they did make it 2-1, would have been right on the back foot. They've conceded recently and let Leeds go. And they didn't put them under that pressure.
Just one of the, you said if they can defend better, does that include getting Song and Diaby to be disciplined enough? As Andy said in that commentary, sit, stay there, and we can win games. I think
he was telling Arsene Wenger on the touchline he wasn't happy, he wasn't confident that, you know, if they played that expansive game that they wouldn't concede, and he was determined that Song and Diaby would sit and hold, because of course he's seen 2 games against Alkmaar and West Ham where they have conceded leads, and he knows he's not going to get anywhere this season if that continues. So maybe that was a little change in their attitude. And in Song, he seemed to be getting every game in that holding role, the kind of player that they have needed for a while. I think it might be just a little bit of insurance they need.
Yeah, I think that's what we saw the jacket being thrown. It was unlike Arsene, but I think the 3 points...
Expensive one as well.
Expensive one, of course, but... You know, the 3 points are vital. That's the number one objective for Arsene Wenger at the moment and Arsenal. But the clean sheet was just as important to them today, and that sometimes isn't in Arsene's mind, and it looks as if Pat Rice and himself are really looking for that clean sheet. Let's get a clean sheet,
presumably, and what happened to them at West Ham.
And in Europe, they should have taken Alkmaar to the sword. They should have won 4 or 5, and they let in a last-minute goal. And I think that's something they've been talking about. By the look of it, they've been talking about it, and he'll be delighted that they got a clean sheet.
Van Persie came close to his hat-trick. Again, Andy mentioned Eduardo in commentary on as a substitute. He too had...
He points to the strength in depth that when Bentner went off, Eduardo was there, Nasri was on the bench as well. They have got a lot of attacking talent.
How much of a difference would the likes of Lennon and Modric and Defoe have made to Tottenham today?
Oh, without a doubt. If you take key players out of your side, your capacity is going to be taken away. You know, the clips we showed at the beginning about Spurs winning away from home, Defoe scored 5 goals, I think. So there's a big, you know, we're playing, you know, Tottenham are playing away from home here at the Emirates. Chances are going to be, you know, far, you know, not many chances in a game.
So can you draw too many conclusions about Tottenham today? Can you draw any conclusions about Tottenham today on that basis?
That they've still got a hell of a long way to go to get into the top 4. They've started well. They've got a stronger squad, but the second half and the second half at Chelsea as well, the 2 tests that they've had this season, certainly away from home, they've been wanting over 90 minutes. In spells in the game, they look a good side, and I think they're going to win enough games at home. But the next level for Harry, he knows it more than I do, that they've got to become stronger mentally and have a bit more belief about them.
There were times today they didn't see the ball, weren't there, second half?
That's right. Yeah.
What can you do about that?
They've got quality, haven't they, Clem? But sometimes it's just attitude of mind. You put the 2 teams against each other at the start and you think, well, there's not too much to choose between them. But at times out there, this afternoon, there's a wide gulf, and that's the hardest step, isn't it, then, getting into that top 4 and getting into that mindset, competing against the big teams.
They're only going to do that if they start picking results up against them teams, and they did it first game of the season against Liverpool at home. They've got to go on their travels and do it against the top 4 as well.
Do you agree with Alan that there is perhaps a title challenge in Arsenal?
Oh, without any shadow of a doubt. I don't think anybody from the start of the season to even now, although we're just in October, would ever have said Arsenal are not going to be in this Premiership hunt. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, there are a few, Glenn, saying they might not make the top 4.
Well, I don't know who they were. They don't like the way that Arsenal play. They must be mad, because they're a very, very good footballing side. They can score goals from all areas. I think they might just lack it. If anything did happen to Van Persie, that would be a major problem if the window goes past and they haven't strengthened.
I mean, there are question marks. 1 or 2 crosses came in and Almunia went to catch and he missed it, and the goalkeeping position is an uncertain one. You know, he couldn't get back in, Almunia, after he returned from illness, and you look at Liverpool's, Chelsea's, Manchester United, I think they've all got better goalkeepers than Arsenal have, and to win the title I think you need somebody really solid. Yeah. Whether that'll tell, we'll see.
That's a big part of the spine that people talk about, your goalkeeper, obviously. But there's a few clubs around that are struggling in goalkeeping areas, to be honest.
Could you honestly see Arsene Wenger spending any money?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's got it.
Well, he's got it.
It's not hard. It's not easy.
I think he'll spend it on the right players, Richard.
It's not easy to buy first. He's wearing that jacket there today. Thank you both very much indeed, Alan Smith and Glenn Hoddle. Okay, just to mention once again, upcoming later this evening, and It's on air from 8:25, Football First, Game of the Day. It's followed by Match Choice via the red button. And look who's playing today. Some really good matches. 10:15 for Match Choice, Sky Sports 1 this evening. Football First. First across the line here today, Arsenal by 3-0 against Spurs. We'll see you tomorrow at Birmingham.